So if I fit everything in the window, both of those images that we've imported were fairly easy because I'd already prepared them to exactly fit the dimensions and crop of the blue image area here at the top and the grid that we have at the bottom. But the chances of that being the case in your everyday work scenario, I think, are pretty small. So let's see what happens when we use larger images with areas that need to be cropped. And as you've probably imagined, we're going to come up here on the A3 page and bring in a new image there. Once again, we're going to make sure it comes in on our images layer, so we can either select it here or just go ahead and select the blue shape to be safe. And again, let's go up to the File menu, come down and choose Place. So from our Project Files folder, go into Images, and let's go ahead and choose this one. It's called Cellar Corner. Okay, go ahead and hit Place. Once again, just double checking. I get into this habit of doing so, but just double checking. Link icon turned on. Okay, go ahead, choose Place. And you'll see it comes in. It's definitely much larger than the other images. In fact, if we drag this over here, we can see it. Now, if we zoom in again, this is another nice shot. This is actually taken in the Dolomites, so a different mountain range. And if I just deselect that, you see it looks very summery and very warm. I can tell you it wasn't. It was -5 degrees on this mountain when I was riding it. So the fact I could hold the camera still enough to take a picture, I'm quite surprised. But yeah, it looks nice and warm, but it wasn't. So as you can see, it's much larger than our actual image area. Okay, so what I'm going to do is select it, hit E for free transform, and let's make sure we hold down our shift key as we drag, because we want to make sure we maintain the proportions. We don't want to stretch the image, all right? But I'm going to bring it down to slightly bigger than the outer dimension of our A3 page, okay? So we're just making sure that we don't shrink it down to the absolute edge here and maybe miss by a little bit and end up having a small gap down here. I'm just giving ourselves a little bit of room. But we then want to use our blue area in the background, which is sort of our image definition area, as an actual crop. All right, so what we can do, remember our keyboard shortcut to be able to click down through an object and select the one underneath it. It saves us sending this to the back and everything else. Hold down your Command key or your Control key on the PC, click on the image, and then click on it again, and you'll see our blue image area is now selected underneath, okay? Bring that to the front using your keyboard shortcut, Shift Command right bracket on the Mac, Shift Control right bracket on the PC, and you can see now there's a lot of image there that we would need to crop out. So to make a mask, it's very, very simple. We've got the box selected. We are going to make sure we shift click on the image as well. And then we can come up to the object menu and go down, and you'll see towards the bottom we have what's called a clipping mask, and this is precisely what we need. It's where one area clips out another one and basically makes it a mask. And you see a very simple keyboard shortcut there, Command 7 or Control 7 on the PC. Okay, so I'm going to come off that, use the keyboard shortcut because you will use it again in future, and now you can see our image is perfectly masked out inside that shape. Now, with regards to moving it around, we have two options here, because basically if we click on the outside here and move it, you'll see that we're moving the image and the clipping mask together. All right, so let's just undo that. Instead, if we deselect, go to your direct selection tool, click on the image, and you'll see that's now highlighted from within. Okay, so we could move around this way. My personal preference, though, is to go back to the main selection tool, deselect, and instead go into isolation mode. All right, remember when we've grouped elements together before, we double click it to go into the element and allow us to separate out the individual things which are essentially grouped together. Well, a clipping mask is like a group because the image and the mask are grouped together into one item. If we double click and go into isolation mode, you can see both the image and the mask are individually selectable. So if I selected the mask and got free transform, I could extend the height of the mask and play around with it, and you'll see it also reveals the image. And that's a little bit more difficult to do with the direct selection tool when you're not in isolation mode. Okay, so this is why I'm showing you this mode. I think it's definitely a much easier one. So I'm going to undo that, but if we go back to the main selection tool, we can click on the image now, and I may as well just use the nudge function here, maybe hold down the shift key and do a sort of multiply nudge, and get this into the right position. Okay, I want to keep a bit of road and a bit of sky in there, so something like that will do the trick. So when you finish, just double click to exit the isolation mode, and you'll see that only the image area has changed. The crop is still exactly where we needed it. So once again, we've now made some pretty serious changes. It's amazing how different this artwork now looks as soon as we drop in 3 very straightforward photographs. So let's make sure we quickly go up to the file menu and go down and save all of those changes so far.